The Flight 19 Bermuda Triangle. Silas, a brave Air Force pilot, had a mission to give a training course. They were supposed to fly over the now infamous Bermuda Triangle. All the 5 planes went missing as soon as they approached near the borders of this horrific triangle. Even the rescue mission failed. Let's listen what really transpired over the ocean and what wrong in their journey.
Florida. Silas stood on the runway, checking his watch. He was an experienced pilot, and today he was leading 4 students on a simple training mission. The sun was warm, and the air was still. Silas felt confident. He did not know that this would be his last time standing on solid ground. The 5 planes roared into the sky. Silas led the formation, with Merritt flying the plane right behind him. They were supposed to fly east over the ocean and then return. Merritt looked out his window at the sparkling blue water. He felt proud to be part of Flight 19. The radio hummed with steady, rhythmic breathing and short professional check-ins. An hour into the flight, the world began to change. The sky turned a strange, sickly yellow. Silas looked down at his dashboard. His primary compass was spinning in circles. He tapped the glass, but the needle did not stop. He switched to his backup compass, but it was spinning too. "Something is wrong," Silas whispered into his headset. Merritt heard Silas over the radio. He checked his own gauges and felt a cold shiver. His instruments were not just spinning, they were dead. The needles lay flat. Merritt looked down at the ocean, but the water was no longer blue. It looked like thick, black oil. He tried to call the base, but all he heard was a high-pitched screaming sound in his ears. Silas tried to find the sun to see which way was north, but the sun had vanished. A thick, heavy mist crawled over the plains. Silas saw shadows moving inside the clouds, shadows that looked like giant, reaching hands. He grabbed the radio. "We don't know where we are," he shouted. "Everything is wrong. Even the ocean looks wrong." Merritt looked out his side window and gasped. He thought he saw Silas's plane, but it looked different. It looked old, rusted, and covered in seaweed. Then it disappeared. Merritt felt a terrible sense of being watched. He screamed into the radio for Silas, but the only reply was a deep, guttural voice that sounded like the crushing of rocks. Silas was losing control. The air inside the cockpit grew freezing cold. He could see his own breath. He looked at the seat next to him, and for a second, he saw a tall, dark figure sitting there. It had no face. Silas blinked, and the figure was gone. But the feeling of ice remained. He realized they were not just lost in space, but lost in something much darker. Merritt's plane began to dip toward the waves. He fought to pull up, but the plane felt heavy, as if something was pulling it down from below. He looked at the black water and saw thousands of glowing eyes staring back at him. They weren't fish, they were souls. Merritt realized that the Bermuda Triangle wasn't just a place, it was a mouth. Silas sent out one last radio message. "It looks like we are entering white water," he said. His voice was hollow. "Don't come after us." The planes of Flight 19 flew into a massive, swirling hole in the clouds. One by one, their lights winked out. Silas closed his eyes as the sound of the engines was replaced by a deafening, ancient silence. Back at the base, the officers were frantic. They had lost contact with Flight 19. A large rescue plane, a Mariner, was prepared immediately. Julian was the pilot of the rescue mission. He was told to fly to the last known location of the 5 planes. Julian felt a sense of dread, but he had a job to do. He took off into the darkening evening. Julian reached the area where Flight 19 had vanished. The air was dead silent. There was no wind, no waves, and no debris. He searched for hours, but found nothing. Suddenly, his radio flared to life. He heard a voice. It was Silas. "Julian," the voice whispered. "It's so cold under the water. Come see." Julian's heart stopped. Silas had been gone for hours. The rescue plane never returned. People on the coast reported seeing a giant explosion in the sky, but no wreckage was ever found. Julian, Silas, Merritt, and the others were gone. Today, the Bermuda Triangle remains quiet. But sometimes, pilots hear a faint static on their radios, the sound of 5 planes still trying to find their way home.